to shorten it.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Life After Kids with Doctors Brooke and Lynn. I'm Dr. Brooke.
And I'm Dr. Lynn.
And we're so glad you're here.
We're so glad you're here. We are talking this week, well, first of all, happy Father's Day to all the dads out there. And we're talking about our relationships in this new life after kids and what that looks like with our kids leaving, that connection that we have with our spouse.
Yeah, it's so important. I think I've had conversations with friends, and, we've spent so much time leading up till now with everything we've done with our spouses or our partners has been around the kids, mostly like all their activities. A lot of times if we're going out to eat, the kids are coming with us. We're having dinner at the house, the kids are coming. We're talking always with the kids. So now that they're starting to grow up, you have to really start to focus again on your relationship if you haven't, or start to think about reinventing it.
Yeah,
and it's a little tricky.
It is, and we, if you're like my family, it was very busy when they were little, and it's even busier when they're older. So it's not like we're getting in, this time to like ease into it gradually. Sure. It's very, very busy, and then one day she's going to just leave and be gone. So we want to do the steps that we know now to help, reconnect and, make that what we want it to be. Once again, we get to design that. And each of us has a different partner or spouse in our life. So we're not talking about those relationships that really might be in trouble or might need some more advanced help. We're just talking about being in a space where you have a pretty supportive partner, but you've lost the spark, or you need tools. There's disconnect. Sure. And you're also possibly just scared about what does this life look like without the kids to buffer?
Yeah, that's a tricky thing. I remember a couple of years ago going to bed, Ken and I were laying in bed talking. I looked at him and I go, do you think we like each other enough to like hang out and be friends when the kids are gone? He's like, Brooke. And I was like, well, I'm just asking. The kids have been very involved, and I was joking, but it is it's a conversation to have, because...
Well, and I give you credit for having it. Obviously you were joking, but still it's asking those questions and starting those conversations so we get out ahead of it.
Yeah.
So it doesn't get to a place where we might need more help. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And one of the tools that we have both found that's been really useful is a book called The 5 Love Languages. It's by Gary Chapman. If you haven't heard about it or taken the quiz to see what your love language is, it is just a wonderful tool in helping to reconnect, right?
Yeah, I think it definitely, part of fostering a relationship with your spouse or partner is obviously understanding yourself better, but understanding them better, knowing what they need and what speaks to them. So the 5 love languages are basically about how you give love, but how you also receive love. So why don't you mention what those 5 are?
Yeah, so we have 5 different love languages according to Dr. Chapman. And the first is quality time, gifts, words of affirmation, acts of service, and physical touch.
Yeah.
So usually you have 2 dominant love languages. You have your first and then your second. And if you're like myself and my husband, our 2 languages are very different. And so we, as humans, we tend to give love the way that we would like to receive it. And so unless we know what our love language is, it can be very difficult to give your spouse or your partner what they need and vice versa.
Yeah, this hit home for me when I read the book several years ago, because this was when I've always worked part-time at least, but at that time, mostly I was in the house and the kids were little. So the end of the day was like, oh, you're tired. And Ken came home, and as he always did, and, always a nice thing to say, Brooke, you look so pretty today, or like, you're just so gorgeous.
Because
I love what you're wearing.
Right?
And I'd be like... Yeah, because I've come to find out after, through the lens of the 5 love languages, is my husband is words of affirmation. And I know I probably sound like a brat because, who doesn't want to hear, you look so lovely today? It was so kind of him. So I'm not downplaying it. But it didn't resonate for me. I'm acts of service. So like for him, the best way for Ken to show me love is by like unloading the dishwasher, or at that time, changing the kids' diapers and go giving them their bath and putting them to bed. That was huge for me. But also flip the script, because I'm acts of service, and my husband, like what goes miles for him to say, man, Ken, you're such a great dad. Like, thank you for the way you showed up today. Thank you for how you guided Andrew on that. And that just speaks volumes to him. It was huge for us.
Yeah, and I think, it makes me think of a potential problem where we could be loving ourselves, like our spouse or our partner could be loving us, but we're not seeing it in this, and vice versa. And so they could be just trying to give you what they think you need in a very loving way, but you aren't recognizing it, and can lead to maybe people thinking that they don't care or don't see you or understand you. So it's a really great, it's a really great tool to just get that spark back again.
Yeah, to understand each other. And to that point also, you know, the Enneagram, which we've talked about, knowing your husband's number is huge. Strengths, like any tool that you can find for understanding yourself and understanding your spouse, and you two to engage better.
The more you know your spouse, the more you know yourself, the more you can love yourself, the more you can love your spouse. It's
absolutely.
really true.
It's really so true. And I think date nights, like scheduling date nights, trying to do that once a week, and that doesn't have to be like a big wonderful dinner. It could just be a walk together or enjoying something
and for
together.
us that doesn't happen every week, but we have the intention for it to happen every week, so hopefully it doesn't go months by without us having a date night. So the point of it is we're really aiming for every week, but realistically we get maybe 2 to 3 times a month. But we set that as an intention, and it happens more oftentimes than it doesn't when we come together and we say, you know, this is important and we need to devote this time to this.
And tell them about, you know, you guys like to go deep and you have a question you ask.
Yeah, so I just love, you know, many of us may have partners that we have with kids. We're busy and we don't take time to get into those deep conversations and really get at the things that are important. And so I would say to that questions are really powerful. So once a week we come together. It's usually Sunday night, and you know, it's after dinner and things are a little bit quiet. We might run a bath, we might just be sitting on the couch, and we like to ask each other, you know, what was your favorite part of the week? And that's just a really easy way to start a conversation, and just by, you know, throwing a question out there that that's not, hopefully not loaded, and you know, you just start in, and it's amazing how you just start to talk about your week, and otherwise a week can go by and we don't reflect on it, or we don't connect with each other on what did you experience this week, and oh my goodness, you know, I learned that about you, and setting that intention. Yeah,
it's great. And I think one last thing before we wrap up is so important, is to be the person. You need to work on yourself first. Be the person, treat other people. I always go back to this is like our family motto from the Bible: treat other people the way you want to be treated. And that's how it goes for your spouse too. If you want more respect and more love, be the person that shows that first.
Absolutely. I think many of us can come at it from, unfortunately, a selfish place, in that we might look to see what we're lacking from what we're not getting from our partner, instead of looking to see, well, what can I give to my partner that he's not getting or she's not getting, or however it goes. And then, you know, life has a way of just reciprocating naturally. So when you give and you set out to just give, you know, very often with that universal law, you're going to get back what you're needing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And women have, I think, a lot of power in that to start that off. And because men are very simple creatures for the most part, and women tend to be a little bit more complicated. So our needs are a little harder to discern. So if we can...
And our emotions.
So if we can just give to our husbands and tell them what we need in reverse, very often they're very happy to comply, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Good conversation.
Great conversation.
Guys, thanks for joining us today. Make sure you're getting these videos every Sunday night. Drop to your inbox by subscribing on our website, www.lifeafterkids.com. You can follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook.
Yes. So happy Father's Day. Go take your husband on a date night.
Have a good one, guys.
Thanks for watching.